Hey guys, game 3 of week 6 of Super Rugby Unlocked is Stormers versus the Cheetahs. It's going to be a big one, I think, because the Cheetahs, they've had a couple of losses now, or a loss and a draw and a lot of byes. So they're going to really up the ante in this game. If you look at the log, the Cheetahs find themselves in 4th place, the Stormers in 2nd place. They will want to get 5 points from this game if they can, because the Bulls are on a bye this weekend, and the next week they are playing against the Pumas. So the Bulls are probably going to get 4 or 5 points next week against the Pumas. So the Stormers need a win if they want to keep their season alive. And they are backing themselves in the press conferences. That's what they said. Getting into what happened last week, I thought last week the Stormers really changed how they've been playing this whole season. I had my doubts about them, but that Griquas demolition was just kept their season alive, I think, and just showed what they can still do. The Cheetahs, though, on the other hand, they've had a confusing season. 2 out of 3 and that automatic draw. They've beaten the Bulls, they lost to the Sharks, so they're in a very confusing space at the moment. The Stormers, 3 out of 4, and they spent 3 weeks on the road. So this is their first week back in Cape Town, so that could also play in a player's mind. That could change things as well. Moderate rain is expected, so probably not a great running game. Might be a scrappy game again, like the Cheetahs had last week against the Sharks in that first half. The second half was a little bit better. Marius van Westhuizen being the referee for this game. I don't like to say it, but he's been the face of some controversial calls lately. Both sides have made a couple of changes. In the front row, the Stormers bring in 2 Springboks with Skara and Tubeni and Malherbe. That's going to strengthen up their side, obviously. And then Luan de Bruin, he's still in the starting team for the Cheetahs with Charles Marais and Venter. They've been scrumming well, or just as well, for the Cheetahs. Luan de Bruin, he's now moving overseas. Unfortunately, I thought he probably has Springbok potential. He is getting up there in the ages, but I thought he's probably going to be selected one of these days. But he's going overseas now. Don't know what that is going to do to his selection. Then Salman Murat, he comes back for the side. Ian Groenewald, he's going to get his first start for the side, moving from the Griquas, I think 2 weeks ago. Carl Wagner, he's in number 5, and JD Schikkeling also at number 5. I think the Stormers, their line-out has been doing really well with Mbunambi. Ntubeni, he's starting now. How's that gonna go? Probably still well. Carl Wagner and Groenewald being a new pairing. Reinhard Venter, he struggled a little bit in some of the games. Probably a 80% record with a line-out throwing. So let's see how that goes with that new pairing in the locks. Then we get to the flankers. Ntila Pokomela, and then Rudolph finds himself at number 8. He moved over from the Pumas, I think, 2 weeks ago. Last week he was on the bench. Now he's getting a start. He's been brilliant for the Pumas. He's one of their standout players. Look out for him running at that number 10, 12 channel and breaking the line and getting a pop through to a guy. Then the number 6, 7, and 8 for the Stormers. Probably the guy to look out for is Augustus. He hasn't been brilliant so far this season, but Trokkie has had that subtle touches and that subtle runs where he just gets over the gain line. Herschel Yankees, he's back in the start. Last week he just missed out the game. He was rested for some family reasons or something along those lines. Tiaan Meyer, he's still at number 9. Damian Willemse versus Tiaan Schoeman. Tiaan Schoeman, I thought he's been brilliant so far. Damian Willemse, not in good form whatsoever. His conversion rate is still, I think, something like 60%. So kicking at goal isn't a good thing for him. But last week he got combined really well with Warwick Geland as that 2 playmaker thing. And that might be hell for the Cheetahs if they don't look after that properly. Going into the centers, Rikus Pretorius versus Frans Steyn. Rikus Pretorius, he said this week Frans Steyn is like one of his mentors, or one of the guys he really wanted to be like, because both of them are from Grey College. Frans Steyn was just there 12 years before him, or he's 12 years older than him. Let's rather say it like that. But it's going to be an interesting one, getting a number 12 that really looks up to the other number 12. If Frans Steyn does play, he needs to pass a last fitness test. Otherwise, Chris Smith will start again. William Small-Smith, he was good at number 13 playing in this last week. Then Dan du Plessis, I think that combo between him and Pretorius is kind of settling in now. Their defense got better last week as well. I said in the start of the season, their attack is really good, but their defense just, they leak a lot of tries. So the Cheetahs might try and exploit that gap in between the centers at the moment. Ruan Nel, he goes out to number 14 with a couple of injuries to the Stormers' wings. And then Angelo Davids, who was exciting on the wing for the Stormers last week, I think he will continue that. It's sad to see it's not Roscoe Speckman against Davids because it's 2 7-stars, but we'll see both of them probably go up against each other somewhere. Malcolm Yar, he leads the tournament for line breaks, if I remember correctly. Warwick Geland, he leads the tournament for defenders beaten, so there's a couple of guys to look out for. Warwick Geland, he had a brilliant game last week. If you didn't watch that game, watch it again because he is going to get a couple of hands through there. He was basically the number 10 in the side last week. Clayton Boromikis, also a guy to watch out in every game he does play. Then getting to the benches, it's always difficult to call what the bench looks like for the Stormers because they only kind of finalize it on the game day. Kate Voliter, he might get a bit of game time for the Stormers and make his debut because he's on the extended roster. I don't think he's gonna, but maybe he would. There's a few other guys to look out for. Mbunambi, he finds himself on the bench this week. Nietlin Fushia, I thought he's held it on his fort so far on this season when he did start. So I think he's gonna do well. Chris Van Zyl and Mayhazen are there on the bench. So they do have a couple of exciting prospects, the Stormers. Then for the Cheetahs, they do have JP Dupree, he's there on the bench. Aiden Davis, also exciting. Ruben de Haas might get his second game for them. And then Chris Smith might find himself on the bench. Otherwise, it will be Howard Mnisi, also a former Kings player. Guys, this is a very difficult game to call. I've been kind of going back and forth between the Cheetahs and the Stormers. I do think the Stormers will win it by 2 points being at home and the history being really in their favor at the moment. The Cheetahs could pull it through though, but to me it's the Stormers by 2. Let me know your prediction down in the comments below. Check out these videos next to me. Also hit the subscribe button if you want to support me on Patreon. And then I'll see you for the next one. Cheers.